Welcome back to the Papers Podcast. This is going to be a distinctly quirky episode. You should see what the t-shirt says on that Lara's wearing. You should see Linda's hat. You should see John's hair. This is the annual holiday episode from the Papers Podcast crew. We're glad to have you. All right, so the whole crew is here. Lara, what does your t-shirt say?
My t-shirt says, "You sit on a throne of lies."
And why is that a Christmas shirt?
I don't know, because it had a Christmas trees on it, and that's why I bought it.
Oh, no. That's from Elf, the second greatest Christmas movie of all time, because the greatest Christmas movie of all time on cue is...
Die Hard.
Die Hard. Oh my gosh.
Absolute style.
You're about to be scratched off my Christmas card list for 2 seconds.
There's a lot of Die Hard t-shirts available online as well.
I'll have to look into those.
Yeah, they're pretty funny, but they're more obscure reference, I think. All right. So let me just set the tone. Let's set the tone. I'll foreshadow that Lara's going first. We each have a quirky paper that we have scoured our deep files, the internet, the universe, perhaps other alien civilizations, asking for the quirkiest health professions education related paper of the last little while that we haven't already covered. All right, so let me set the tone. This is what we're looking for. This is a foreshadow before Lara goes. Here's an example paper. It's not directly related to MedEd, but there is a connection. So the paper is Uncorking the Muse, Alcohol Intoxication Facilitates Creative Problem Solving. This is from the journal Consciousness and Cognition. This is an amuse-bouche. This is the tone we're setting. And this one definitively shows that alcohol facilitates creative problem solving, which I've often been suspicious of, but it was definitively shown in this this randomized control trial. So there you go. This is the kind of paper that's out there.
I'm prepared. I'm prepared to run the 3-arm trial that has alcohol versus psilocybin. So I'm recruiting if you're interested.
And that's from McMaster. Okay, all right. Here's another amuse-bouche. You all recall the famous paper in the New England Journal. It came out in October 18th, 2012, and it's entitled Chocolate Consumption, Cognitive Function, and Nobel Laureates by Meserly. And this is just a classic kind of quirky holiday type paper that shows that the greater chocolate consumption in a population, the more Nobel laureates that population produces. So there you go, chow down on some delicious dark chocolate. I think it's dark chocolate only though.
Yeah, and the more obesity in the population too, right?
Actually no, because it's dark chocolate and that's not correlated with obesity. This is like the Swiss are way ahead in this. So keep up everybody, there's a nice table.
I can't have dark chocolate. It's disappointing.
Because what it does?
I get a migraine. I'm allergic to it.
Oh, okay.
Just saying. It's not the same with milk chocolate.
Not because you go crazy.
No, there's other reasons for that.
There goes the holiday spirit. Bah, humbug. All right.
Take it away. What's your quirky paper?
So, Jason, your introduction gives me a little bit of a because my paper has absolutely nothing to do with medical education at all. Although I have to admit, I came to this paper from really a backwards orientation because I was having these moments this year. A couple of papers of mine got rejected. That's fine. I can take that. But I really appreciate the great feedback. But couple of times this year, I got reviewer two'd, and I got reviewer two'd hard. Like,
sorry about that.
Comments that make you sort of go, oh, you're coming at me. Never mind the work. But anyway, so I thought to myself, why does this bother me so much? What am I going to do? Anyway, so then I started thinking about, well, what is it about the sting that makes us pay attention when people critique or make comments? Or what is it about a sting of pain a little bit that makes you pay attention? And so then, lo and behold, I kid you not, I went into the literature and I found this paper. The paper that I selected today is like I said, has nothing to do with medical education, but it might help you think a little bit differently about the comments that come from reviewer two. The paper is titled How Side Effects Can Improve Treatment Efficacy, a randomized controlled trial. I kid you not, I've renamed this paper, It Hurts So Good, because the papers in the study studied if some side effects to prescription medication can contribute to positive expectations. The authors point out that there's a lack of research showing that placebos can lead to larger placebo effects than inert ones. So if the placebo has some sting to it, then it pays attention. Then it has a stronger effect. And lo and behold, they had a study with 77 people, and you know, there's moments in this paper when you're reading it that you should really be thinking, this is a holiday episode, because the participants, they came in, they volunteered for a fentanyl nasal spray experiment. And I'm feeling that was a choice. Because like if you're going to pretend to give somebody a medication, fentanyl is a strong sort of starting point.
Hey, there's clearly a bias right at the beginning of selection here.
In Hamilton, there would be a line around the door.
It was me line up.
You know, I did a study as a med student looking at alcohol, where I gave IV alcohol, and I had my classmates lined up around the block too. It's amazing what they'll do for.
Was it on a Saturday?
It was a Saturday, and they got $10 for it, which actually paid for more alcohol.
There you go. And like the volunteering for this fentanyl nasal spray, it's like things to know. Nobody received fentanyl. It was all a placebo. But the thing that matters, the walk away lesson from this manuscript is fake medicine that causes painful side effects can be more effective than fake medicine that has no painful side effect. So when it comes to reviewer 2 and the message stings, just remember there might be nothing in it. Right, there might be completely no substance. This might be a drug that you're taking, and you have to take this, but there's nothing in there. So, as you in the future find yourself being reviewer 2'd and you're being reviewer 2'd hard, don't mistake the sting as a real message. It might be empty. It also, just as one other aside, and then I'll jump in. I don't know if you guys remember, and I don't know if it's still out there, but in Canada, say about 10, 15 years ago, there was a medication that was being advertised, and the slogan was something like, it tastes awful and it works. And it was a cough medicine, I think. And the whole premise behind that medication was it tastes bad, and therefore it's good for you. And I'm like, dude, they just did the research that proves that's true.
Yeah, the marketing department knew that like 20 years ago. You know what we need, Lara, is we need a reviewer pain index for how bad a reviewer 2 could be. It's just an idea. I'm not sure if you want to do anything with that.
Maybe.
Just an idea.
You know, I really like the fact that we have taken the noun and associated word reviewer 2 and made it into a verb. Reviewer 2'd.
Fact. There's your gift.
Do you know what we've actually done in terms of making it into a noun and in a gift? I've made it into a game. And so, dear Karolinska, I'm sorry, Teresa, just in time for your holiday buying, if you go to the website, we'll have a link with Teresa Chan. The two of us have made a card game. It's basically like apples to apples if you have kids, or Cards Against Humanity if you like fun games on a Saturday night, maybe with a bit of IV alcohol or capsaicin up your nose, whatever it is. It's for sale. This is not a joke. This is not a prank. It's Dear Reviewer 2. It's the card game. You'll love it. Buy it and console your colleagues and your co-authors when you get Reviewer 2'd.
It's funny you bring this up because there's a competing game out there that I've ordered, and there's a Reviewer 2 add-on pack, which I've also ordered. So there you go. I'll play with all of you at a conference. Okay, on that note, it's time to hand over to John. Take it away, John.
All right, I have a paper that I think actually is relevant to medical education, and it's from a subjournal of Nature. So I've gone A-lister and still somehow make it relevant for our holiday episode.
How did you turn this into a competition? It's the holiday episode.
I am holidaying better than you. I think that's, by the way, really what it is.
Sorry, just editorial note. The papers in terms of importance are in order. Go ahead, John. You're number 2.
I'm number 2. That's a metaphor. I don't want to take any farther. It's called Video Gamers Demonstrate Superior Bronchoscopy Skills Amongst Beginners. It's from Shimoda, Tanaka, Morimoto, Yoshimari, and Ota.
I want to stop you right here. I do not want to be anywhere where beginners are doing bronchoscopy on me or anyone else. So this is already a scary paper.
Well, let me tell you what the punchline is, but more importantly, let me tell you what the meta is. See, I'm putting Easter eggs in all of my papers. Nakatomi Plaza, anybody? There we go. All right.
2 points.
Basically, this is a paper that says if you play video games, you're going to be better at procedural skills. Isn't that amazing? These authors use something called Splatoon, which I gotta say, sounds amazing. It's basically a first-person paintball shooter game, which I kind of want to do. Side note, I don't play video games. And the reason I don't play video games is in undergrad, I started to do very, very poorly in microbio in my second year because I leveled out Castle Wolfenstein, which if you were in the 90s, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, and you've been born in the 2000s, I'm sorry.
So your paper caused a real problem for me, John, because I literally only made it so far into the paper because it said Splatoon 2. And what I
missed Splatoon 1.
I went into the internets and I'm looking at this and I'm trying to down. But the problem with the paintball war game is that there's one session where the paintball teams are red and green. And I'm colorblind. I couldn't tell who was winning. I'm like, I've got no idea what's happening right now. It was the weirdest moment ever.
So basically, I want to play against you. In real life paintball, I could just imagine you wandering around, smelling the flowers, like ping,
Having a great day, and then you show up. Yeah.
There's real science here. There is some really nice correlations that show there's a regression model that I love.
But this
This is a holiday present to me. Again, we get to do math on this episode, even though we're supposed to be having fun. This is my fun. And what it shows is that if you have lots of experience as a gamer, and we give you a 2-dimensional screen to navigate into a 3-dimensional model, you will perform far better than someone who doesn't play video games. So if you are worried as a parent buying video games for your children, if you are secretly shy about telling your colleagues that you like to come home from clinic and relax by playing Halo, fear no more. Basically what you can say is, I'm writing it off in my medical professional corp, or I am changing my kid's direction and moving into a clinical health professions position because video games are good for you. That's all I heard from this punchline.
I sort of was curious about how these authors are all chest physicians, respirologists at Fukujuji Hospital in Tokyo, how they came up with this idea. I can just see them hanging out in at the lunchroom, eating onigiri or their bento boxes and saying, what's the weirdest thing we can do, and coming up with this.
Linda, there's a line in the I can give the exact line, in fact, in the introduction where I stopped reading. Because the line said, the research evaluating both bronchoscopy techniques and video gaming skills is lacking. I'm like, no, this is not a hole in the literature. Done.
Published in a sister journal of Nature. Just saying.
There you go. It's time to move on to Linda's paper. Let's go.
So, I'm the only serious one on this podcast, people, just so you know that. I chose this paper as it's supposed to be a quirky episode, so I thought I better be serious about it. The paper is called The Use of Humor in Medical Education, Students' Perspective. It's by 5 students. First author is Rim Taleb from Beirut University, Lebanon. And it is in, and we'll talk about the journal later, the European Journal of Humor Research. So why do I like this paper? Number one, as usual, we all like papers where the students are authors. In this case, all the students are authors, so good on them for doing med ed research. Number 2, it is a very important paper. The first thing is they very nicely describe how humor helps learning, raises attention and engagement and rapport, and probably most important for students, decreases sleepiness. Let's not forget that. And finally, the student views on what's appropriate and inappropriate humor are also described. It's a survey. So there's a couple of things that are quirky about this. One is we should be jealous of them. They got over a 50% response rate to their survey. for a big survey, that's pretty darn good. So good on them for that. The final reason that I really like this paper is the journal. It is the European Journal of Humor Research. So I sort of started noodling through that journal, and there's everything from stand-up comedy in Central Africa to, oh yeah, Lara, really.
Too many questions come to mind about Europeans and humor, like just all the stereotypes you could come up with.
Yeah, exactly. All of them.
All of them.
Notice they don't have a German journal and a French journal and a British journal, right? But in fact, I got curious, are there any other journals related to humor and humor research? So it turns out there are. There's an Asian journal. There's an American journal. There's a world journal. There's an Israeli journal. And there's also journals by topic. Like there's one on humor and law, if you can imagine it. I didn't think lawyers were funny.
Is it published by Fox? I'm just saying.
Right. So altogether, I thought this was a pretty quirky article from this past year that we all needed to know about because, in fact, it's got some very practical points in it of how we can include and not include humor in our teaching. Any thoughts, John?
I gotta say, I think academia has jumped the shark when we have this many journals dedicated to humor. Some people think that my research is hilarious and not in a positive way. I was so curious about this journal that I actually went to the guide to authors, and I can't believe I found this. They have some of the typical stuff, but they said you must submit using Comic Sans as your preferred font.
No.
That's awesome.
But that is so awesome. I wouldn't have been it.
Too funny. All right. Okay, so we're going to move on. Last paper of our epic holiday episode, and this is actually mine. So let me set this up. You all know who Max Planck is, right, Lara? Like you read physics every day. Okay, so Max Planck, famous European researcher, star researcher of his time, and he is famous for saying that science advances one funeral at a time. That when scientists say that are dissenters to some big new movement, and they say over my dead body, they mean it. They have to go away before science can move on. So this paper is actually about that. This is a paper from the American Economic Review. The first author is Azule from MIT, so it's got to be like better than John's reference in Nature. And this is, does science advance one funeral at a time? Is Max Planck correct? And so Thomas Kuhn actually writes about this, who's so famous about scientific revolutions. And the premise is we don't convince our colleagues when we publish. They just have to go away before your research is really adopted. So they did an economic bibliometric study, really, of this. So they got a hold of a database of people outside of medical education, but in medicine, in clinical biomedicine. And they got a huge database, and they looked for people that they would label as superstar scientists. And their definition is really around citations and dollars, grant dollars. And then they said, what happens if we find the select group in this database who died prematurely? They had a definition of that. So if these superstar scientists die, what happens to their ideas? And what happens is the field moves on. And what they did is they said, if after they die, do their collaborators publish more? No, actually, their collaborators just fade in their citations, but new voices enter the field. So for health professions education to move on, we need giants to get out of the way. That's what this paper says. And that's so crazy. And I was attracted to the title, Does Science Advance One Funeral at a Time? So there you go.
Of course, yeah, the fallout from this is if you are not highly cited and you want to be cited, you have to figure out a way of getting rid of the leaders in the field. I think we should send this to, what's the name of that organization in the States? A National Rifle Association, National Gun Association, something like that.
As a promo?
No.
Maybe we should cut that one out, Simon.
But the Planck effect is real, right? Like the idea that when there are really strong voices in a field and really well-known, well-respected scholars, that it's really hard to contradict them until they're gone. And, one of the things that I take really seriously is the idea of my retirement date. And part of that is, yes, I have a whole list of things I want to do. But the other part of that is, yes, I have things I want to say and things I want to do. But I also want to make sure that I'm never I never want to be the one who leaves, who doesn't know it's time to go.
You want to get out of the way. Leave on top.
So you want a little bit of memento mori, knowing that your days are numbered, but you also want to put a hashtag well in advance of that last day, saying, and now it's time to set aside for the next generation of ideas and authors, right?
Yeah, actually, I think what you have to do is pick a couple of people from the next generation and support them and mentor them. And so that even if your ideas morph, there's somehow or other buried in there.
Oh, boo. All right. On that note, that is our quirky holiday episode. And, just because we're talking about knocking off top researchers doesn't mean it's not holiday spirit. Actually, let me just finish with a tiny little dessert of a couple of papers. And this one's also related to John's research. The title is Linguistic Obfuscation and Fraudulent Science. And it's a study of papers that were later shown to be fraud and the nature of the writing. And what it actually says is the more bizarre words and large words that are non sequiturs that a paper has, the more likely it is to be fraud. So there you go.
That's too bad. I like putting words in that people may not know into my papers. I feel like I'm growing our collective vocabulary one word at a time.
And there you go. That's why Reviewer 2 exists.
That's right. It's why he's writing to me. Yep.
And my last paper is actually, this one's really amazing. This is truly phenomenal. This is in +1. This is an open access paper, The Power of Kawaii, which is the Japanese word meaning cute. Linda would know this. She speaks Japanese. Viewing cute images promotes narrow attentional focus. So if you show people pictures of cute animals, they can perform better on standardized tests. And so in that theme, I have a picture here of John when he was young, when he was a resident with me, to inspire everybody. Maybe we'll put this on the website and make sure that everybody gets increased productivity in 2025. All right, on that note,
Take care, everybody. Oh, I just said the wrong thing.
Happy holidays and bye-bye.
Thanks for listening for all of 2024.
and I'll say the legit version of take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
You've been listening to the Papers Podcast. We hope we made you just slightly smarter. The podcast is a production of the Unit for Teaching and Learning at the Karolinska Institutet. The executive producer today was my friend Teresa Sorrow. The technical producer today was Samuel Lundberg. You can learn more about the Papers Podcast and contact us at www.thepaperspodcast.com. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for all you do. Take care.